Well, are you struggling to make ends meet or looking to improve your financial literacy? Well, if you said yes to either, then this next interview is for you. Today, we're tackling a critical topic that affects millions: how to break free from living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of speaking with Keone Webb's financial educator, who shared invaluable insights on managing finances, building savings, and creating a sustainable budget.
Jason, thanks for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it. It's always good to have somebody talking about how not to live from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, it's an important topic. I mean, because I was once there myself. And so once you get on the other side, I think it's important to reach back and help people and explain the process to get on the other side.
Well, let's talk about that, too. You grew up in Detroit. What was that like growing up there, and how did it actually shape your perspective on money and success?
Yeah, well, growing up in Detroit, at that time in the neighborhood I was in, there was gangs, there was drugs. Every house had bars on the window. So you kind of think that that's normal. And it's not until you get outside that environment that, for me as a young kid, I started to question, like, why do we live in an area that has bars on the windows? Why do we have gangs in there? Why is our cars always getting stolen? And it really kind of, I started to equate that with, well, if you have more money, you can get into better houses and the better neighborhoods and live a better lifestyle. So it really got me interested in money at a young age.
Now, what mindset changes were key in helping you overcome the poverty and get your financial success?
Yeah, a few things from a mindset standpoint. I saw my mother work 2 jobs and never really get ahead. And so I started to realize, like, 2 jobs are for 2 people. That wasn't like the key to success. And then everybody that I saw on TV or that was wealthy always associated with either the stock market or real estate or running a business. And I thought, I don't have enough money to buy a house. I don't have enough money to open a business or the know-how. But it made sense that the stock market, I could hook my money and my caboose up to the companies and to the CEOs who do know what they're doing.
Right. And
I could participate with the ride. And so it just made sense to me.
So any advice you have for people who want to start investing, but they don't feel like they have enough resources or knowledge to do it?
Yeah, the advice I would give them is, number one, just make sure you create room or margin to take calculated risks, right? So there's no guarantees in the stock market,
right.
But if you can look at your finances and get yourself to where you're living below your means and anything extra you have to where you can take a calculated risk, that's the first place I would start. And then second, I would open an account, because it's free to open an account and get access to the tools, start to learn, start to practice, and get a feel for what it's like to find and buy stocks and invest.
Jason, what would you say is the #1 financial habit that you credit with for your long-term success?
The #1 financial habit I would 100% say is just living below my means and knowing at all times how much money I have, how much is going out, and how much I have to create or take a calculated risk. That part is just so important, to be able to take a risk and know that if the investment doesn't pay off, you're not going to lose your car, your house, or your lights aren't going to get cut off. And I think that's what prevents most people from stepping into an industry that could change their life, is because if one thing doesn't go right, it could actually offset, their current way of living.
We mentioned this right at the top of the interview. A lot of people living paycheck to paycheck nowadays. To get out of that spiral, what's that first step that they should do to take control of their finances?
Yeah, so make a list. What I did, well, I can only share what I did, and that was, I made a list of what do I really need to live. And when you break down those categories, you really only need food, shelter, and probably transportation. Everything else is kind of a nice to have. It's a luxury item. See what things that you can cut to create that margin. And then also start to get educated by reading YouTube, watching YouTube videos, or, my book that's coming out, 5-Year Millionaire.